Forever Estates helps tens of thousands of investors each month on their journey to making millions from Dubai real estate. And for those just getting started, we've created this ultimate guide covering everything you need to know before making your first purchase, all backed by numbers, facts, and years of experience. Starting with part 1, deciding to invest. Let's answer your biggest question first. How much money can you actually make in Dubai? Is it even worth your investment? Let's answer that by comparing Dubai to other global cities. Now, one peanut M&M represents 1 year of your life. Say you're investing in your 30s. On average, you have around 40 M&Ms left. You choose to invest in real estate in New York. Of course, Ryan Serhan sold you the place.
High above the hustle and bustle of Manhattan.
By the time you pay back the apartment's value from rent, your glass still has 20 peanuts. If you'd bought in London, you'd have 9. And if you invested in Zurich, 0. But if you'd bought in Dubai, 25 peanut M&Ms left. And that's just rent. Let me show you the bigger picture. Of course, your return on investment depends entirely on where, what, and when you buy in Dubai. But to give you an idea of what's possible here, I'll show you the average numbers from 2016 to now. Let's say you bought a one-bed 9 years ago. Amount invested, including 4% DLD fee, is $231,000. Average price increase is 38%. Rental income over the years, $127,000. Service charges over the years, $27,500. Total income, $187,000. ROI, 81%. Quick note for the finance folks. Keep in mind that this ROI isn't discounted and doesn't account for inflation. It basically means that if you bought an apartment in Dubai in 2016 and sold it today, you would have made back what you originally paid plus an extra 81% on top of that. But imagine you invested more recently, like in 2021, and sold it last year. Your ROI would be 59%. These are just the averages, and they're not that impressive. So let's look at real success story. Here's the numbers for an investor who bought a villa in Palm Jumeirah in 2016. Amount invested, including 4% DLD fee, $2,850,000. Average price increase, 163%. Rental income over the years, $1.2 million. Service charges over the years, $100,000. Total income including rent and resale, $5.7 million. ROI, 200%. And if they'd bought in 2021, the returns would be a massive 156%. Of course, you can't expect returns like that for just any old property in Dubai. It comes down to the right area, unit, and the timing of the investment. But how do you know which one to choose? Get in touch with us. We rely on data and years of experience to help you find the right property for your goals. We do the financial analysis, guide you through the whole process, and help you secure the best available unit. For a free consultation with our team, just scan the QR code, message us on WhatsApp, or click the link below the video. And one of the first things we often discuss with first-time investors is pricing. Let's talk about what it's going to cost you. In Dubai, the minimum starts at around $170,000. From there, prices can vary massively across 3 tiers. This is the affordable tier. These are areas like JVC, Arjan, GVT, Sports City, Al Furjan, and Dubai Land. Prices for studios range from $170,000 to $220,000. One bedrooms are from $270,000 to $340,000. Two bedrooms start at $390,000 to $490,000. Three bedrooms are between $520,000 and $700,000. For this money, you could get into Escrow edition in Dubai Land, for example. A one-bedroom apartment in that project will be fully furnished and designed, and the building comes with decent amenities like a gym and a rooftop pool. The price is around $185,000. Now let's look at the high-end tier. These are the properties in top spots with great amenities. You'd be looking in downtown, Greek Harbor, and Dubai Hills. Now prices. Studios are between $380,000 and $620,000, though some areas like Greek Harbor don't have studios. One bedrooms are starting at $490,000 and reach $800,000. Two bedrooms are from $740,000 to $2.8 million. And three bedrooms are between $1 and $3 million. Let's take Business Bay, for example. You'd expect to pay around $490,000 for one bedroom, like this one in Skyrise, a 3-tower complex by Benghazi. Finally, there is a luxury tier. These are the most exclusive and extravagant neighborhoods, typically reserved for ultra-wealthy such as the Palm, Emirates Hills, Jumeirah Islands and Blue Waters. Prices start at approximately $1 million. For example, a one-bedroom on Blue Waters costs between 1.5 and 1.8 million. Two bedrooms are priced between 2 to 3 millions. And three bedrooms can go up to 6. If you want to step up even higher in price, you can look at property in luxury hotels. A two-bed with a sea view in Atlantis the Royal on the Palm can be bought for between 5 and 7 million US dollars. And if you're looking at villas, the ones in popular locations like Dubai Hills will range from 2 to even 50 or 60 million dollars, and some are even more. The limit doesn't exist. An important note about this is that you don't have to pay for the property all at once. All the developers in Dubai offer flexible payment plans. I'll dive into this more later in the video. And there are a few other costs you should prepare for. Your property acquisition costs depend on the type of property you're buying. Let's say you're looking at an off-plan property priced at 500,000 US dollars. Off-plan is what we call new developments in Dubai. So you'll need to factor in the purchase price, the 4% Dubai Land Department or DLD fee, and the $1,500 of administrative fees. So that property would come to 521.5 thousand US dollars in total. If you're buying the same property when it's ready on the secondary market, you can expect to pay the purchase price, the 4% DLD fee, a 2% agency fee, and $4.5 thousand worth of trustee and legal fees. So in this case, the property would come to 534,000 US dollars. Now let's look at potential expenses after you bought the property. First, there are service charges. These are paid to the developer for maintenance around the property. This includes common areas like parking and even pools and gyms. You'll pay a different amount depending on the size of your unit, and the charge itself ranges between $3 to $6 per square foot per year for apartments and about $1 to $2 for villas. Say you own a one-bedroom apartment. This would cost you between 2.5 to 4,000 US dollars a year in service charges. If you had a two-bedroom, it'd be between 3 to 5,000 US dollars. And for a three-bedroom, you'd be looking at 4 to 6,000. And if you don't rent out your property, your second expense will be housing fees. These come to 5% of your property's annual rental value. For example, if the Dubai municipality assesses your property rental value at 20,000 US dollars per year, your housing fee will come to $1,000. But you can get around this. Rent out your property for a year or longer, and the fee is covered by your tenant instead. And the third expense is standard utility bills. Again, you don't need to worry about this if you rented the property out. Now let me answer 3 logistical but very important questions most new investors have. The first is, do I get a residency from a property investing in Dubai? Yes, and there are 2 different kinds. First is the investor visa. With this visa, you can stay for 2 years with your spouse and children. If you still own the property, you can renew it after that too. Open a bank account, rent another apartment long-term, enroll your children in UAE schools, apply for a UAE driving license. You qualify by spending a minimum of 750,000 dirhams, which equals to 102.5 thousand US dollars. And there is a catch. To hold on to this visa, you have to visit Dubai once every 6 months. That's a lot of trips back and forth. And if you don't make it back to the city in time, your visa will be cancelled. And it also doesn't cover your children past the age of 25. If you want residency without the travel commitments, you should go for the golden visa instead. This visa lasts for 10 years and can be stretched to include your parents and children of any age. For a golden visa, you previously needed to buy a property worth 2 million dirhams or 546,000 US dollars. But now you can get the visa after spending just 130,000 US dollars. Here's how. If your new investment totals 2 million dirhams or more, you can be granted the visa after just the 20% down payment and the 4% DLD fee. This 24% payment equals around 480,000 dirhams or around 130,000 US dollars. They don't take into account how fast are you planning to pay the outstanding amount. And the best part is that the majority of the process can be completed from outside Dubai. Here's how it works. After you've paid the down payment and fees, you'll sign a sales and purchase agreement, or SPA. The one thing to note is that it can take a couple of months for most developers to open the project escrow account and finalize the SPA. So you may need to factor that in if you're buying a new project. Next, you get your Akud, a digital certificate from the Dubai Land Department. It proves that even though it's still under development, you own the property. It's basically a title deed for properties under construction. This part can take 2 or 3 weeks. Next, there is an online application form to complete, as well as paying around $1,000 of application fees. Now you'll need to pay a visit to the UAE. You'll have to pass a medical examination in one of their clinics. Just a blood test and fluorography. This next part will cost around 10,000 dirhams or 2.7 thousand US dollars. You'll pay for the medical examination, Emirates ID, residency permit and various admin fees. Officially, the waiting period for your visa can take up to 30 days from here, but it will probably be faster. You don't need to stay in the UAE for this part. You'll get an email confirmation once your visa and Emirates ID is approved and you're done. The second question we get from first-time buyers is, can my property be taken away? Unfortunately, yes, it actually can. But you can easily avoid this by paying attention to where you buy. In Dubai, there are 2 types of property ownership: leasehold and freehold. The type mainly depends on the area the property is in. A leasehold is significantly cheaper and means that your property is on a long-term lease. If you buy a leasehold project, you can rent out the property and even sell it, but it has to be returned to the owner you bought it from after 99 years. Only a local can fully own the leasehold property. These properties are far less common now than they used to be. Freehold property ownership means that you own the property in its entirety. It's yours for as long as you want it, and you can pass it on through generations if you want to. Freehold is currently the most popular type of ownership in Dubai. The third question we're asked is, what if the developer goes bankrupt or tries to disappear with my money? In Dubai, developers are required to get a bank guarantee in order to register a new real estate project. This means that the bank has your back. If the developer does go bankrupt, the bank will cover the project with its own money. And if the developer tries to disappear, you're safe here too. Because the developer needs to open an escrow account in a government-regulated bank overseen by the Real Estate Regulation Authority. And they have to do it every time they want to start a new project. Then they deposit 20% of the total construction cost to this account. This is so they can prove they actually have the cash to start building. And once you've purchased the property, every single payment you make will be made to the same escrow account. And until they reach the agreed construction milestones, your developer can't access your money. If they don't deliver, they don't get paid. So there is no chance they're going to run away with your money. Think you're ready to find the one? Let's talk about how to choose the best investment property for you. Part 2. Selecting the right property. How do you know if a property is worth your money? You can watch a separate video with a deep dive on this, but here is the basic approach. Start by choosing your goal. The most common ones are generating cash flow, long-term resale, and quick flipping. If you want to generate cash flow, you have 2 options: short-term and long-term rentals. Short-term rentals bring higher returns, but they come with higher risk. You'll need to furnish the property, cover all utility costs, and hire a management company that will actively manage your bookings. When done right though, they can earn 25 to 35% more than long-term rentals. Long-term rentals are the safer choice. Returns are lower, but tenants usually stay longer. They are better at surviving economic crises, and the property is easier to manage. If your goal is long-term resale, you probably already know to look for a high-demand and low-supply property. Choose a property with unique features and an attractive location, like a beachfront property. These are just 4% of the total supply in Dubai, so they're appreciating much faster than average. So your goal is quick flipping, and if your goal is quick flipping, it comes with the greatest risk, but the highest potential for short-term reward. So you should choose your property very carefully. Look out for a project with an extremely limited supply in a growing area. Perhaps you know the type of property you're looking for, but which area is the best? Unfortunately, I can't tell you that. First of all, because Dubai is always evolving. New neighborhoods are coming up and old ones are still developing. Keep an eye on these channels, we're always looking for the best up-and-coming areas in the city. And secondly, because it depends on your personal investment goals. But in saying that, here are the areas we think you should keep an eye on. If you're looking to make stable rental income, look for property in areas like Arjan or GLT. They're still relatively affordable, but they can give you a great rent-to-price ratio, around 7% on average, but up to 9 to 10% on the better projects. But keep in mind that these areas grow in line with the market, so don't expect them to show exploding growth. If you do want an affordable property that has a better chance of appreciating quickly and also generates decent rental income, you could look at Dubai Land Residence Complex. Dubai Land is still early stage, so you can get in for around 180,000–190,000 US dollars, with room for growth as the area appreciates. For pure value appreciation, there are 2 types of property that consistently outperform the market, and I'll tell you where to look for them. First are waterfront properties. Take a look at how they compare to the market average. They are growing up to 4 times faster than the rest of the market. That's massive. If you're looking at waterfront properties, Dubai Islands is one of the top areas to watch. It's like an early version of Palm Jumeirah, but in my opinion it's even better. The water flow is improved to move more naturally, and the plan includes a huge shopping mall, golf courses, and lots of hotels. To be more precise, there will be 86 hotels, and it's very important because they give access to spas, water parks, and restaurants. Also, Dubai is building a coral reef, and its first part will be right in front of the Dubai Islands. And there is one particular project we think will blow up in that area. The link to the video with all the details is below. The second type of property that stands out from the rest is villas and townhouses. Since 2021, they've grown 1.5 times faster than market average. Why? Because supply is limited. And as more families are coming to Dubai, larger homes are in demand. It's not like any villa will work, and some areas are definitely much better than others. But they launch and sell out really quickly, so contact us to learn what are the best ones right now. But the location isn't everything. Another big factor is the developer you choose. So what's the best real estate developer in Dubai? We cover 6 that you won't regret investing in this video, including some hidden gems. But for now, these are the 3 of the well-known ones. First, Emaar is the best and most demanded developer in Dubai. An Emaar project will usually sell out in hours. They develop closed master communities, meaning that no other developers are able to build in that area. This means that they single-handedly drive growth across that entire area, because they get to increase the prices with every new launch. Second, Nahil. They've created massive areas that dominated the market, like Palm Jumeirah. Their villas on the Palm have more than doubled in value over the last 3 years. And Miraz, the premium developer of super popular communities in Dubai. For example, they did City Walk, Bulgari, and Blue Waters. Many of them have also experienced exponential growth, so make sure you keep an eye on these 3. Okay, say you've chosen your area. Now the next question. Should you buy an off-plan or a secondary property? Both options can bring you great returns, but it depends on your personal circumstances. Let's take a look at the pros on both sides. Why buy off-plan? They usually have flexible interest-free payment plans. This is great if you're an international buyer and don't want to spend the full amount up front. If you're a non-resident, it's unlikely you'll be able to get a mortgage. So this may be a better option. I'll speak more about mortgages for non-residents later in this video. On top of this, your building will gain value during the construction period as the area develops and the market grows. Off-plan lets you buy into an area at its earliest stage, and that gives you the best chance at long-term appreciation. Overall, buying off-plan is easier. You can buy quickly and complete the whole transaction without stepping foot in Dubai. So then, why would you buy a secondary property? Well, if you're planning to live in Dubai right now and waiting several years for your property to be built just isn't an option. Or if you want to start earning straight away, a secondary property is ready to be rented out immediately, so your returns begin sooner. The rental income from the property can also help you cover your mortgage payments, partly or even fully. But there are a few things to keep in mind. Buying a ready property isn't as fast process as off-plan. It can take up to 3 to 4 months, especially if you're using a mortgage. You'll need time to get mortgage approval, find the right property, negotiate, and close the deal. And sometimes sellers can change their mind at the last minute. So whether you choose off-plan or secondary really depends on your timeline, your budget, and your goals. But once you've found the right property and you're ready to buy, the next big step is payments. And that's a process in itself, so let me walk you through it. Part 3: Paying and closing the deal. Before we get into the payment process, there is one more important step: making sure you are getting the best deal possible. Let's talk about negotiating a discount. If it's a ready property, it's simple. You can negotiate the price directly with the owner, until you reach a deal you are happy with. But if you're buying an off-plan property from a developer, you can try a few different strategies. The first is to buy in bulk. Instead of buying just 1 unit, buy 5 or more. At entry level, this is going to cost you around $1 million. But if you're buying from a developer like Emaar, you'll be looking at closer to $5 million. Besides a discount, you get another benefit. You get to skip the queue. You choose your unit before everyone else, which is important in Dubai. When it comes to a popular launch, you either get what you're offered or nothing. Of course, not every investor is in a position to bulk buy at this rate. So there is another strategy: be on time. Many of Dubai's most desirable launches sell out in hours. So how do investors get around this? They buy before the launch. At this point, there are no pictures, no unit mix, or even project name. Developers are way more likely to give better terms to an investor who's willing to trust them early on. The earlier you act, the more likely you are to secure a premium unit. By the sales day, buyers are often fighting what's left. The third tip is to put down more money at the beginning. Let's say you're buying a $1 million apartment, and the expression of interest is 25,000 US dollars. Put down 200,000. You'll have to pay it as a down payment anyway in a few weeks. And you could even put down the full sum. The developer rep might even tell you it won't help, but in reality, they don't want to refund such a big payment. They want to close. It gives you more negotiating power down the line. And on top of all this, paying the full amount in cash leads to 4 to 10% discount with some developers. The fourth strategy is to choose a stricter payment plan. A post-handover payment plan is great, but it can work out to 10 to 15% more expensive than the standard plan. To give you a better idea of what's possible, here are some of the terms we've successfully negotiated for our clients. Small boutique developer, 1 unit, 2% discount just for asking. Medium-sized reputable developer, 1 unit, 2% discount for paying 10% of the property value before the official launch. Big international developer, 2 units, 5% discount for buying 2 large apartments. Medium-sized international developer, 1 unit, 10% discount for paying the full amount in cash. Big private developer, 2 floors, 20% discount for bulk purchasing. But it's important not to focus only on the price. There are other terms that can help you, such as DLD fee waivers, which save you 4% of the property price upfront. Extended payment plans. We've arranged plans with longer timelines or better terms, so our clients can hold onto their cash longer and invest it elsewhere in the meantime. Delayed down payments. Pushing this back even slightly can help improve short-term cash flow. But take note, don't waste time negotiating on projects with huge demand. If a project is selling out fast, the developer has no reason to give discounts. You'll win nothing and lose the unit. Discount tips and tricks aside, how much do you normally need to pay up front? For planned properties, there is the expression of interest stage. It's a way to reserve your spot before your project officially launches. You pay a refundable amount, which shows the developer that you are serious about the unit. This gives you priority access when the project opens. There is a minimum amount depending on the project, but there is no limit. If you pay more, you might get a better spot in the queue. And if you don't get the property, you get your money back. Then once you've secured the unit, down payment is usually 20% of the unit price, including anything you paid in the expression of interest stage. Then you'll pay the 4% DLD fee and around roughly 1.5 thousand in developer admin fees. For secondary properties, your down payment depends on whether you're using mortgage and where you live. If you're a resident, it's typically 20%. For non-residents, it's typically 40%. This difference, plus higher interest rate, plus lower approve rate, are the reasons why mortgages are not that popular among overseas investors. You'll also pay the DLD fee and a 2% agency commission fee and trustee fees, all in the beginning. Now let's talk about payment options. As I said, when you buy from a developer in Dubai, you usually get access to a flexible payment plan. These plans let you split your payment, so you pay some during construction and the rest after. Each developer does it their own way, but most payment plans require you to pay anywhere from 40 to 90% during construction. This is usually split into installments that are tied to specific dates, construction milestones, or both, and they are spread out several years. Some developers even give you a choice between multiple plans. Imtiaz, for example, often offers 2 standard options, 50-50 and 70-30. In the 70-30 plan, the final 30% is paid in monthly installments over 30 months after you get the keys. We call it a post-handover payment plan. But there is something to watch for. That extra flexibility usually comes at a cost. Expect a price increase of around 10%. And what about other hidden fees, say taxes? A quick disclaimer. This isn't tax advice, so please consult your tax advisor before you make any decisions. In general, the UAE has no personal income tax and no capital gains tax for individuals. Here's what that means for real estate. First, when you buy a property, and if you do it with crypto, you don't pay capital gains tax, unlike in many other countries. Second, if you rent out the property, that rental income isn't taxed in the UAE. And third, when you sell the property, your profits aren't taxed in the UAE either. But there is bad news too. This income might be taxed in your home country. For example, if you're a US citizen, you'll have to pay taxes in America no matter where you live. And since there are no taxes paid in Dubai, you won't have a foreign tax credit to offset your US tax liability. Also, even though Dubai doesn't have a property tax, it does have the housing fee. I mentioned it earlier. This is 5% of the rental value. So say you decide to buy a ready property. What's the process? There are 7 steps. First step is the terms. You and your broker will decide on the basics. Budget, location, number of bedrooms, and the commission. Expect to pay around 2%. Then you and the broker will sign a contract. Step 2. Your broker starts the search. They'll shortlist properties and arrange in-person or virtual viewings until you find the one. Step 3. You'll put down a deposit, which is usually 10% of the unit price. This is made out via check. It shows your commitment and also protects the seller if you back out. Step 4. Sign the MOU, or Memorandum of Understanding. This is a standard document issued by the Dubai Land Department. It lays out all the terms of the deal. Step 5. You'll hand over the deposit check. Step 6. Finalize the deal. You'll go to a trustee office. It's a licensed center authorized by the Dubai Land Department to handle real estate transactions. They'll verify all the documents, process payments, and handle the official property transfer. This is also where you'll pay the deal deed transfer fee and any other charges. At this point, either you or your representative have to physically be in Dubai. Step 7. The Dubai Land Department issues the title deed, and the property is officially yours. And what if you buy an off-plan? There are only 5 steps. Step 1. Submit an expression of interest. This one's optional, but it matters if the project hasn't officially launched yet. You put down a fully refundable amount, usually starting around $7,000, to show you're serious. It gets you on the buyer list, and the earlier or bigger your payment, the better your priority. That means first pick of the available units when they're released. Step 2. Reserve a unit. If the developer hasn't set up an escrow account yet, you'll pay 10% of the property price to log it in. Then the developer gives you a booking form that outlines all the key details, like unit size, view, payment plan, and any resale conditions. Step 3. Pay the down payment. You'll top up your initial 10% to make up to the standard 20% down payment. At this point, you'll also pay the 4% DLD fee and a small developer fee. Step 4. Sign the contract and get a code. Next comes sales and purchase agreement. Developers normally can take up to 2 months to prepare it. Once it's signed, you can get a code. A code is a digital certificate issued by the Dubai Land Department for off-plan property transactions. It proves your ownership before the construction is finished. And then you pay the rest of the balance according to your payment plan. Step 5. When the property is ready, you'll get to inspect it. If anything is not quite right, the developer will fix it. After that, it's time for handover. You get your title deed, and the process is done. We have an even more detailed video on the property buying process. The link is below. But how do you actually make the property payment in Dubai? There are 3 ways. You can pay by card online or a developer's office, a wire transfer, or crypto. Paying by card sounds simple, but it can be the opposite. Some cards aren't accepted by certain developers. American Express often won't work. Also, your bank might freak out when you try to make a $30,000 or $50,000 transaction and just block your card. You can rely more on a wire transfer. You can make one from almost any bank around the world, if your country is not sanctioned. And you don't even need to wait for the developer to receive the money. A PDF receipt or a screenshot is usually enough to reserve your unit. But make sure you include the developer's IBAN in the transfer, or they'll never get the money. Your third option, crypto, is also easy. You can just send USDT to the developer's wallet address. And almost every developer in the UAE accepts crypto. And what if you don't pay? Obviously, we don't recommend this. But things happen. If you find yourself in a tight spot due to money logistics or planning difficulties, and you can't make your payment, there are 3 stages. First, the developer will send you an email to notify you of the deadline and request the payment you missed. Second, they'll get DLD involved. They'll issue you a 30-day notice. This serves as your last chance to make up the outstanding payment. And if the 30 days are up, we enter the third stage. DLD will issue an official document on behalf of the developer. The terms differ depending on how much of the construction they've completed. For 80% or more, the developer can ask DLD to auction the property to make up the payment. For 60 to 80% completion, the developer can cancel your agreement and keep up to 40% of the property's value for themselves. For 60% or less, the developer can do the same, but they can only keep up to 25% of the property's value. So if you realize that you are going to struggle to pay on time, let your developer and broker know as soon as possible. This way you'll all have time to figure out potential solution. Now for the part you've all been waiting for. Let's talk about the best ways to make money off your investment property. Part 4. Making money. Your first option is to sell during construction. Before you consider this, check out your developer's conditions. They'll do it their own way, but commonly you can resell after paying 30–35% of the property price. For some developers, it can be around 50%. But is someone actually going to buy a half-completed property? Unfortunately, many buyers will prefer a ready property, because a ready property can be mortgaged and is ready to use. Or they can buy directly from a developer. If the developer hasn't sold out its stock, buyers wouldn't pay any premium to the investor. So the only way to make money at this stage is to flip a highly demanded unit in a unique project. Your second option is to rent it out. Here you have two options: long and short-term rentals. We'll look at long-term rentals first. You can start this process as soon as the handover is complete. You don't even need to furnish it. It's common in Dubai to rent an empty property, or with only kitchen appliances. However, it's worth considering that some tenants are willing to pay extra for a well-furnished apartment. You'll need to work with a real estate broker. This is a free service because they get their commission from the tenant. They'll look after everything, from finding the tenant, to preparing all the documents, to handling payments. These payments will be made out to you via checks. Collecting and depositing them is also a part of their job. Tenants are expected to pay for all utilities, property maintenance, and housing fees. All you have to pay is the service charges I mentioned earlier. Or you can rent your property out short-term. In this case, it does have to be furnished before it can go to the market. If you're renting out short-term, we really recommend working with a property management company. They'll create and manage attractive listings on booking platforms like Airbnb and Property Finder, change the prices dynamically, handle guest queries, and organize cleaning. They may even furnish the property for you. Of course, this strategy comes with other costs. The company requires a management fee, which usually comes up to 20% of your total income. You'll also pay all the utility fees, service charges, and housing fees. But renting out short-term has great benefits. You can set higher prices per month with dynamic pricing for high and low seasons. On top of this, you can sell or move into the property with no notice period. Your third option is to sell your property when it's completed. This is a 6-step process. Step 1. Discuss everything with your broker. Agree on your selling price, commission, and how the keys will be handled for viewings. Once everything is settled, you'll sign an agreement between yourself and your broker. Step 2. Your broker will begin marketing the property. They'll show it to potential buyers and list it on popular real estate websites. Step 3. Once the broker finds a buyer, you'll both sign the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. Step 4. The buyer issues a deposit check for at least 10% of the sale price. Step 5. You'll apply for a no objection certificate from the developer. This typically costs around $1,000 and confirms that there are no outstanding payments or issues with the property, and that the developer is happy for the transfer to go through. The final step is a visit to a licensed trustee office. They'll verify the documents, the buyer will pay the DLD fees and any other charges, and the sale is complete. Your only costs are the brokerage commission. This is the amount you'll agree upon with the broker. And another cost is the $1,000 no objection certificate fee. This is the end of our guide, but we will continue helping you. Drop us a message with your requirements and we'll start working on your case right away. However, if you want to gather more information on the topic, learn about the mistakes you should avoid. We made a detailed video about red flags in Dubai real estate. Check it out.